Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people conform to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. But first, thank you for subscribing to the channel and for all those likes. Today we have 4 great stories, so let's get right into them. Shall we? The first story is called I Will Edit. This happened today, not to me personally, but to another customer that was the next in line at the food place I was at. To set the scene, this place is much like the famous Tex-Mex food joint in the US that serves burritos, burrito bowls, etc. You know the place. There are ready-made options which come with a set configuration of food items, and there's also the option to build one yourself. All the options are written down on 3 big banners on top of where the employees make the food, as standard. I order my food and I'm waiting for the next employee down the assembly line to finish my burrito with the condiments. There was this older woman who is carrying herself with that "I am better than you" attitude, and who definitely looks like someone who does not enjoy fast food often, and looks down on those who do. She orders a vegan burrito, one of the preset choices. The employee has to ask still the type of tortilla, white or whole grain, and the type of rice, white or black. The woman is being very lazy with her response, looking down at her phone and taking her sweet time with it. The first employee makes the burrito base and passes it to the girl down the line, for whom I am waiting to finish my burrito, and who is also going to finish the woman's burrito. The woman asks if she could have any sauce with the burrito. The employee then explains that they do not put any sauce in the vegan burrito because the sauces are not vegan. She says that they do put on salsa verde, which is technically a sauce but counts as a topping in this store, not a sauce. The woman does not reply, looks up quickly and asks for the red chipotle sauce, as there are pictures in the banner corresponding to the sauces. At this store there are 2 sauces with very similar names, Explosive Chipotle and Creamy Chipotle. One is significantly more spicy than the other one. The creamy sauce is orange in the photo and the explosive red. Neither sauce is vegan, as the base is mayo. The employee is now trying to tell the woman 2 things. That the sauce she is asking for isn't vegan, in case the woman is, since she ordered a vegan burrito. And that the red sauce is very spicy. Now, maybe this woman knows what she is doing, and she just likes the vegan burrito and can handle her spice. However, from my point of view, that was not the case. The employee says again, "Ma'am, this sauce isn't vegan and it's very spicy," only to be cut off by the woman. She's saying with a very pushy tone, "Can I please just get the sauce?" I think the woman understood that the employee was not allowed to put the extra sauce in the preset burrito options. You get only what's in the description. It was probably a long day for the employee, and she just stood there for a brief moment with a clear face of FML and asked, "Are you sure?" The woman promptly and annoyingly said, "Yes, I am sure." Cue malicious compliance. The employee added the salsa verde, which is already a bit spicy. And then she grabbed the squeezy thing with the explosive chipotle sauce and gave that woman a very generous amount, zigzagging the entire burrito. She then looked up and said with a smile, "Is that gonna be warm or cold?" She then rang us both and the lady left. I wish to God I could have seen her face eating the burrito. But then again, maybe she loved it. We'll never know. The next story is called Only in the Designated Areas. This happened Saturday at a large regional grocery chain near me. It's the type of place with tons of gourmet and specialty departments, including ready-to-eat food and a little cafe area. The cafe includes a small gated-off outdoor space on the side of the building, which gets pretty busy, as people are still hesitant to eat inside right now. There's also a hot food spa that changes each day of the week. On Saturday, game day, the theme was chicken wings. I was picking up my groceries for the week, minding my own business, when I'm hit with the most divine smell I've ever known. Mind you, it's a bit past noon and I haven't eaten all day. The next thing I know, I'm following the smell like a cartoon thief chasing a pie in a window. I find myself at the hot bar and, possessed by a force far greater than myself, load up a container of rings. I check out, now fully entranced with the aroma of buffalo sauce and knowing full well that these rings aren't going to make it home. I step outside and walk down to the end of the building and sit down on the concrete ledge under the awning, and I go to town on my chicken wings. Like absolutely unhinged, raccoon out a dumpster, showing down and not caring about anything else. Proudest moment? No. Would I do it again? Absolutely. It's bliss. Until suddenly my chickeny meditation is interrupted by the deliberate type of that sounds less like a polite throat clearing and more like an engine trying to turn over. I look up and see a well-dressed woman, probably mid-40s, sternly tapping her food and pointing behind me. Confused, I look over my shoulder and see the no loitering sign. I'm still not getting it. I've obviously got a cart full of groceries I just stepped out with. I explained to her that I'm just enjoying my hot lunch before I head home. She is having none of it. Either eat in the designated cafe area or get out. I point out that all of the cafe tables are full and I've just got a couple more rings. Then she delivers the kicker. Figure it out before I call someone to figure it out for you. Fine, I stand up, gathering my rings and leaving the rest of my groceries. I walk the 10 feet to the gated area and duck between the metal railings. The gate is about 10 yards down the way. Then I look pointedly around at the occupied tables, then sit down on the concrete and continue noshing my rings, looking this lady in the eye. She toots and pulls out her cell phone, ostensibly to call someone to figure it out for me. But either it was for show or they thought that she was as nuts as I did, because I finished my chicken rings in peace, albeit among a sea of confused patrons. The third story is called Just a Stamp. This happened to my buddy back in 2000. He was working in Russia, but living over the border in Finland. For a variety of reasons, namely security and because the company had some housing over there. So he and a few of his colleagues, all US expats, would commute over the border into Russia every morning and then leave and go home the same way in the evening. This means 4 stamps in their passports each day, 2 in the morning from Finland and Russia, followed by 2 in the evening from Russia and Finland. Border security was strict but not particularly modernized. So, for example, even though my buddy and his colleagues got to know the Russian border guards very well, the Russians would still occasionally dig their heels in about odd little bits of decorum and bureaucracy. Lots of rigid manual processes, etc. Before we go any further, the one thing you have to know about Russian bureaucrats during this time period is that they loved their stamps. Everything required a stamp, and stamps were required for everything. It didn't matter what the stamp actually was, most stamps were illegible. It was more the ceremony of it, the hallowed process of obtaining it and then presenting it to someone. The right stamp could open a door for you, but the wrong stamp could shut it abruptly. The border control process was no exception. So one day, my buddy and his colleagues were on their way back from Russia. But an errand that day meant they were closer to a different border crossing, not the one they used daily, where they knew the guards. Without thinking anything of it, they pulled their car into the queue at the alternate border crossing and got their documents ready. The border control guards were young and inexperienced and very risk-averse. They were immediately skeptical about this carload of unfamiliar Americans trying to leave Russia and return to Finland. My buddy's car was directed off to the side and armed Russian guards ambled over to converse. After lots of furtive conversation amongst the border guards, they motioned over my buddy. He wasn't allowed to cross, they said, because he didn't have the right stamp in his passport. Which stamp is required, my buddy wanted to know. The guards were momentarily taken aback, but then they smirked and said, "We'll know it when we see it." Cue malicious compliance and or possibly international immigration fraud. My buddy and his colleagues piled into their car and drove a quarter-mile back down the road to a Russian gas station. They turned into the parking lot and pulled out their passports. Quickly grabbing a red Sharpie marker and a US dime, my buddy colored the reverse side of the dime, the side featuring the torch and the sprigs of foliage, being careful to leave a few areas unmarked so the wording wouldn't come through too clearly. Then they took turns smashing the Sharpie dime onto a blank spot in their passports, creating the stamp that the Russian guards would be helpless to resist. It worked perfectly. They returned to the border half an hour later, mumbled something about having gotten their paperwork in order and presented the passports. The Russians glanced at the passports, noted the stamp which looked very red and official and completely unfamiliar to them, and waved them through the border. They arrived home in Finland a couple of hours late, each of them with an odd-looking stamp in their passports that would befuddle and confuse immigration agents for years to come. The last story is called No More Admin Rights. This happened about 20 years ago, as I was starting my IT career. The organization I was working for was an early adopter and had just rolled out Windows 2000, and delegated control was still a good idea, a long way off being implemented. It was discussed making this happen by the sysadmins, but not implemented to allow the help desk to have granulated permissions, but this had not been worked out yet. I was still on the help desk and worked with Alec. Alec had been around since I think Noah was building the Ark, and possibly handed him the hammer when needed. The organization hired a computer corporation to manage second and third level escalations above the help desk. They decided that the lowly help desk peons, Alec and I, could not have domain administration permissions anymore. As we were doing the work and taking cases off them, that meant they could not justify as many man hours they were charging our organization. So on Wednesday night, our accounts were removed from the elevated permissions without notifying us. Possibly our managers were notified, but not what the implications were. Here comes the compliance. All we could do now was catch and dispatch, nothing else. Simply take the call and log it into the helpdesk system. We couldn't even do the run-of-the-mill level 1 task that takes seconds to complete, like resetting passwords. On that first day, the Computer Corporation needed to do their weekly team building meeting, that I was not privy to, as I was not working for them. However, I am sure they were told how much extra money they would be making doing all these extra cases. Alex started after me, as he then had the later finish. So I explained our lack of access now, and that we would have to simply catch and dispatch calls now, with the Computer Corporation doing all the work. This is boring, and what gives helpdesk roles a really bad name. Alec wanted to go to our managers to get this changed immediately. However, I convinced him to comply with the corporation's dictate. We would allow the people directly affected by not being able to work to complain to their managers. Then they would complain to ours, so we don't look like we are being difficult to the Computer Corporation's new stance, whom we'd had to get along with. And well, they did complain. The manager for the Computer Corporation got hauled out of the meeting to fix things up, so we could do our work and our colleagues could then do theirs. When the manager asked why we did not say these cases were backing up, we replied we could not change or unlock passwords, and they were busy in their meeting, and we were asked previously not to disturb them. Petty, I know. But we did get our admin rights back before lunchtime. Also, now things are massively changed and the main admin rights are not handed out so fast. But this was in the early days of Windows 2000. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.